Our rock-solid relationship imploded in a single night and I'm completely blindsided. My partner, 25M, is my 26F rock and I'm his. Literally he tells me that all the time including yesterday. We've been together for 5 years and have a truly wonderful relationship. Always talking, laughing, comfortable with one another. Able to communicate healthily even when we disagree. After surviving abuse as a child and struggling with unhealthy romantic relationships in the past, the fact that we love each other in a respectful, secure and profoundly healthy way is truly my biggest blessing and I wake up every day so happy and grateful for him. He is an incredible man with so much drive, intelligence, kindness, and gifts to give the world. About a year and a half ago it came up for the first time that we saw ourselves getting married one day. It was such a beautiful moment and it rocked my world to have been vulnerable, said those words, and have him say them too. Since then it's been something incredibly happy that I get to hold in my heart and look forward to. The subject has come up sporadically since then but I haven't wanted to push it too far since we are young and it is very much an eventually thing. Both of our parents are divorced and his come from money. He got a lot of strong advice growing up not to marry young and to protect his assets, to see it from a more financial view than I ever have thought of it. Nevertheless the thought makes me happy and we often daydream about the future we'll build together, the little house in New Hampshire we hope to buy and the dogs and chickens we'll have. These are conversations he participates in and brings up on his own all the time. I want to be able to talk casually about the marriage aspect, too, go to bed with a sleepy, can't wait to marry you or love of my life. But for some reason recently whenever the subject has come up he's clammed up and made it feel really serious. This culminated maybe 2 months ago with a really weird conversation in which I sensed he might not have processed what marriage really means in the way that I had, and that he wasn't ready to be talking about this in the way that I was or as much as he had let on. I told him I don't want to put a gun to his head, this is just something that makes me happy to think about and talk about, and I tell him everything. I said I love him for him, I'd wait as long as he needs, but that I firmly didn't want to bring up the subject again until he was comfortable discussing it. I wanted to relieve the pressure on him, and I haven't mentioned it since. Well, yesterday we spent a really lovely day getting lunch and hiking with my family. They live far away so we don't see them very often. My stepsister and her fiancé were there as well, and of course there was a little bit of light conversation about their upcoming wedding. My BF was his usual friendly, easygoing self. I noticed he seemed quiet on the way home and later that evening so I asked if he was worried about work but he just said he was tired from a long day traveling. I made him a drink, kissed him on the forehead like I always do and promised we could do whatever he wanted to relax that night. Just did what I normally do when I can tell he's stressed, try to show empathy and take care of him. But then as I'm making dinner he comes over to me and drops this bomb. He came over to me crying and said spending time with an engaged couple and even barely talking about their wedding had sent him into a panic and he didn't know if he could ever see himself getting married. I was completely blindsided. I tried to parse what he was saying but it was like my brain was stuck. Evidently he had been locking himself in his office at work all week crying about this. I kept asking him why he would say he wanted to marry me if he didn't. He said he was lying, basically. That he wanted to give me what he knew I wanted to make me happy. I could only just stare at him open-mouthed. I kept trying to pinpoint if he was saying to me, I don't think I'll be ready to get married for a long time, or I don't think I'll ever be ready to get married, and I really don't think he knows himself. I don't think he has put any kind of mature thought into marriage at all. It was like talking to a scared child. He kept saying stuff about not knowing where his career will lead or if he'll have money. He has a great job, an outstanding network, and is definitely not poor. Neither of us are, and I was just like, we're a partnership. You wanted to be with me yesterday, you want to be with me today, do you want to be with me tomorrow? Yes, he said. I said well that's all what matters, we have a life we love and we'll take on the future together when it comes. I'm devastated. He left for his mother's house and I don't know when he'll be home. I cannot take another sleeping pill or my heart will stop but I can't sleep a wink. I literally spiked a 100-degree fever and spent all night sweating and freezing. I had no idea it was possible to be in so much pain it makes you physically sick. This person is the bedrock of my life. We have always had rock-solid confidence that we can trust each other, be vulnerable around each other, and be our full authentic selves without inhibition or fear of judgment. We share everything together and we are best friends. He even said that over and over as he sobbed and told me he loved me and that he didn't want to get married. Hours ago I had the most beautiful and solid relationship in the world. Now I don't know if we're going to break up. I'm reeling. I feel like I've been stabbed in the back by my safe space. The earth fell out from under me and I don't even know what to think anymore. Update. The long and short of it is, he left me. I called him the next day asking when he would come home. He'd told me he needed a day to think, but he was talking like we were still together. He wouldn't. So yeah. He just torched it in pretty much an instant. I had been leaning a lot on the kind words I received from folks who reassured me that one fight does not need to derail everything we've built over the last 5 years. I took the perspective that the question of marriage was something that we'd need to discuss seriously and hopefully through therapy to arrive at what both of us want. I had no idea he would just upend the table with no warning, without ever expressing his feelings or giving us the chance to address it with even a single conversation. So many of the comments I received revolved around the question, is not marrying him a deal breaker for you? Would you be okay with simply a long-term relationship? I don't know. I would have to search my soul for that answer. But I didn't even get the chance. He made that choice for me. 5 beautiful years and he just left. Needless to say, there were a million better ways to do this while honoring his fears and feelings while still showing me an ounce of respect as his partner and someone who loves him. This owed a conversation, and even if we still reached the same conclusion, would understand. But this, it's not what I deserve. I did see him one night and we have been texting. He said all of this awful stuff about how he was just trying to tell me everything I wanted to hear and how I wouldn't like the person he really is underneath all of his people-pleasing. He's got a lot of this, don't talk about it, just run, in his family, including in his parents' relationships. My partner has always said he doesn't respect this kind of behavior and talked vehemently about how his values are different. Then he just did the same thing. Although when I wrote my original post I wanted nothing more than to continue living our happy day-to-day together, but given this entire nightmare, space is the only thing that can do anything for either of us at this point. He has no idea what he's feeling or how to talk about it in a healthy way. My dad had the simplest take and yet said it best, he's immature. He needs to work on himself, and I hope he does. As for me, I'd be an idiot to still want to marry him knowing this is the kind of thing he's capable of. So, we've got to break our lease. Apartment hunting while still reeling from this 180 flip of my life has been terrible. We moved to this city together, and pretty much every friend I met through him, so I'm really scared it will mean losing a lot of other people I love too. It's going to be expensive and miserable to live on my own, and I'm still grieving my sweet love and the life I thought we were going to have together. I gave 5 years of my life and so much of myself to being one half of that partnership. I never wanted to be on my own again and now I am. I still love him, but I can't wait around while he fixes himself, or pine foolishly hoping one day he'll wake up and be ready for me. I don't want to stand on my own 2 feet, but that's just what I have to do. My question now is, how do I move on? If when we do eventually talk, what can I even say?